in the Buffy comic book, this question comes from she was wondering that when the comic book started, the women in the comic books all had breasts that were the same size as the actresses. But the longer the comic book series goes on, the bigger their boobs get. What gives?
You know, you're not wrong. It's I've always been, I'm not even sure that I should say this, pretty specific about the breasts in my comic books. Because I was so tired of they actually started in the 90s drawing women to look like they not only had big boobs, but that they had implants. They were taking all of their things, they would sort of start like that. Just like the letter P.
But wait, so why are the boobs getting larger in your comic books?
Well, I think probably because there's a certain form that they're used to drawing, and and they fall back on it and they forget, and then I don't see the pages in time, and then I forget. So is Willow like stacked? Is it? I did not notice that they drew the bottom half of Dawn as a horse for a while. Don't watch the show.
So you were in your early 30s when you started Buffy. You were 31. And so you had been a writer. You had made a lot of stuff, but you hadn't been the boss in that way, where you have dozens of people and a lot is riding on you. And you said that one of the things that you had to learn is that you had to learn to be mean. What happened that taught you that?
My version of being nice is avoiding all conflict and not telling people when they're doing something wrong and then suddenly firing them. No, it's not always that bad. But that is a prime example. It is, one of the things that I write about a lot is being a leader. And that part of being a leader, and I think a lot about battle, obviously, not having been in one. Just the idea that, the idea of sending people to their death, the idea of making a decision that makes you less of a person. Like a leader, to be good at his job, has to become less than the people he's ordering around, to an extent, I think. And that, to me, is fascinating. It's fascinating in Mal, it's fascinating in the later seasons of Buffy, it's fascinating with Adele, the person who has to make the tough call in order to do what is either right or wrong, but to get the job done. Because for me, it's really hard, and I knew this particularly when I was in college. I was co-president of Eclectic, which was this sort of co-ed pseudo-artsy frat, and I just remember thinking, I'm bad at this. I'm a bad co-president. I'm Citoyen Capet. I'm Louis XVI. I'm that guy. I don't have what it takes. I was like very terrified because I wanted to direct, and I was like, I just can't order people around. I can't do that. And then I found that, okay, I can generally lead people, and if possible, with kindness, because there's something.
But what happened in that first season that taught you, like, oh, I'm not having a firm enough pimp hand here?
I'm not talking about Dollhouse.
What happened?
It was over the course of the thing, you just realize that sometimes no is more efficient than no thank you, and that you have to if you're going to get the best out of people, they have to know that you're not going to accept anything else, and you can tell them that very gently, but if they know it's true.
And was it like you were just trying to be everybody's friend?
Yes. I was also in my early 30s, and here were all these cool actors, and they wanted to hang out. We were like, this is so much fun, and the show's a hit, and it was very heady, and I wanted to be their friend. And then all of a sudden, I was like, everybody thinks they can have everything. It got a little messy. It does on any show that is successful. The second couple of years are usually, some heads are going to turn. It just happens. But I hadn't really sort of, when you come in as the authority figure, and then you show them the other side. And I didn't really do that. I sort of flopped it.
What would have happened in Firefly if it had continued? What were your plans? What were the things you had to do so far?
It's hard for me to talk about. There are a couple of episodes that I had in mind and scenes And this was, just a few days ago, I was going over, I do this a lot, was going over a scene in my head of Mal at a bar that was going to be the end of an episode. And it got me just like, and I was just playing it out in my head, and I started getting a little bit teary. Because I'm so involved in the scene, and it's an emotional moment for Mal, and then I wake up and remember that that's never going to happen.
And what's the scene? Like, what's it going to be?
I don't know that I'm going to share that. It's not really sort of it's hard to explain. It's not exactly a crowd pleaser. It's just, these little intimate things, and I have a few of them that were just at the ready. Some of them I had pitched to Nathan, and when we were first starting the show, because I understood so exactly what that show was, which is sort of the opposite of what happened with Dollhouse. I will tell you one thing: had the show continued, Wash would be alive.
He's pining for the
We
fjords.
have faced relationship problems. By the time Buffy ends, the only couple left is Willow and Kennedy. Every couple that you've gone to the trouble to create has been crushed in a way where I guess breaking people up makes for interesting drama.
There's getting together and there's breaking up. There's very little TV about the in-between. And it's very difficult to maintain serialized entertainment about
And so with
a
Wash,
relationship.
with Wash and Zoe, would you have kept them strong, or would you have
Yes.
messed around?
I would have turned the screws. We were already doing that. They were arguing a lot in episode in War Games, but War Stories. Sorry, War Games is lovely. In War Stories, they were already having friction about her and the captain, and of course I'm going to turn the screws somewhat because marriage is complex, but it was also very important to me. It was actually one of the breaking points with the network, because the last thing they said to me before they picked it up, they said, Wash and Zoe cannot be married, and I said, goodbye. I do not want you to pick up the show. If they're not married, I will not do it. And they called me back an hour later and said, okay, we'll do it. This was the things that came apart in Dollhouse came apart later after we all sort of, we were all on board and it was all happening, and it was these are smart people I was working with. It was a paradigm shift that kind of threw all of us. Whereas in Firefly, we were in completely different places, but I knew exactly where I was. And one of the things that I really wanted to do was to show a strong marriage, two people who respect and love each other and are sexy with each other and are forgiving and are, cantankerous and all the things you can be in a marriage, because I just wasn't seeing enough of that on TV.
You've been